What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, two-time Canadian Ethnic Media Association award winner, 2020 for Best Podcast News, and 2018 the Innovation Award. And once a month, I host the only live stream that for fathers and men in the world that is sponsored by Dove Men Care, the only one in the world. And it's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles and a solution for someone's problem. Broadcasting here on December 18th. The year is winding down. It's winding down. But you know what? People are already in the house, which is good stuff. And you know why they're here? They're not here because of me. Sorry to disappoint you. They're not here because of me. They're here because of these two queens. Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones, dropping their knowledge bombs as per usual when it comes to what's going on in America. Ladies, what's been going on? What's up? What's cracking?
It's cracking.
Oh, it's always great to have them on. And I was thinking about them today because I was listening to a broadcast on NPR, and the president-elect was saying that America is back at the head of the table. And I said, So I think we have to do a conversation, not on this one, but the next time, does America want to be back at the head of the table again? That's
I don't think we're back at the head of the table, because I think that what's going down is making us, is going to impact our country for generations to come. This is what's happened to the almighty America. This has been detrimental. I mean, we'll be lucky to get invited to the table.
Yeah. Okay. Jill has set the groundwork. You want to add to that quick comment, Aisha, before we really turn up the heat?
Look, I'm just looking forward to my new favorite show, Dragged, the expulsion of a former American president, January 20th, the premiere at noon Eastern Standard Time, because he doesn't plan on leaving, so he will have to be dragged out.
Oh boy, you see, these ladies are already on fire. Don't you love it?
I'm optioning for a co-starring role in that.
You're optioning?
Yeah, I'm trying to get, involved to at least play a Secret Service person or a military person to help drag.
My. Oh gosh. Well, let's get at it, ladies. Well, I guess one of the hot topics that's gone in America these days, COVID vaccine. It's finally starting to come out. What are your thoughts on this? Like, I know optics-wise, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the first vaccine given to an elderly Black woman? Was I correct on that?
She was a nurse, wasn't she?
Nurse, I believe so.
Yeah. Well, the optics were what they were. It's sad, however, that the government didn't want to come through with all that they should have come through. We're not even a week into this rollout, and they didn't roll it out correctly. Here we are, like we were with the PPE and the ventilators. It's like, oh, we have ventilators coming to all the states. We produced 1 million ventilators. We're going to give every state, the ventilators that they need. And then the states didn't get what they needed. They promised the states X amount of vaccines, and then they only distributed 60% of that. They're only distributing 60% of that. And this sounds very familiar. And in my mind, I hear this and I'm thinking, okay, Donald Trump's nasty, upset because he's not getting the credit that he feels he deserves in this. And so he put the kibosh on it out of spite. And it's a dangerous move because this is people's lives we're talking about. And this man is playing this short game, and I'm going to get back at everybody for not reelecting me. And this next 30 days, he's going to be a nasty little bitch because he didn't get what he wanted. So
Sure.
look out for not getting the PPE that people still need, not getting there's going to be this vaccine shortage. And remember, the delivery of the vaccine is also being compromised because he told DeJoy to slow up the mailing system because he wanted to slow up the ballots from November. So the mail is already behind. And
the storage of it. The storage of the vaccine.
And the storage of the vaccine. That's exactly what I was about to say. You got to remember, some of these vaccines are going to go bad. They already had a batch go bad that they had to chuck. Because remember, these have to be stored at a certain temperature. And if they're not, they have to be discarded.
Isn't that with the first vaccine? The second one, I believe, doesn't have to be stored at an extreme temperature, but I know the first one, it has to be stored and it can only be exposed for a certain amount of time or it's useless.
I mean, we haven't even gotten them rolled out yet, and it's already this. And it's a major this.
Right. And then the other part of it too is that even though the second vaccine doesn't have to be stored at a majorly low temperature, it still has to be refrigerated, and it still is a perishable product. So depending on how long it's going to take, we could still end up having the same thing. One of the things that, and it shouldn't be nurses again having to squeeze out extra doses out of a bottle like they were having to do with their PPE, trying to get extra uses out of their masks and stuff. We're back to the beginning again. This vaccine wasn't supposed to be an end-all solution, but it was supposed to help. It's not helping if people are having to go back to the survival tactics of the early stages of this pandemic.
Well, Jill, you're somewhat right in the heat of it too, because you're on the left coast, as I like to say it, and it's like lockdown big time. What's the environment like out in Cali right now in regards to this?
It's not locked down enough. It has, hours that people can still go around and do whatever they want. There's a city, San Bernardino, wants to open their restaurants. I think they got a judge to approve this. San Diego, the same. I was just saying to Aisha earlier, I think there's a mindset that's different of West Coast people versus East Coast people. You got to remember the wild, wild West. And I don't know if it's the fact that there's no seasonal changes here that keeps people out of touch with reality and the whole reality that time is changing and it moves on. And I mean, seasonal changes kind of encourage you to go, wow, here we are. It's a different time of year. Oh, wow, I need to get my stuff together. There's something very, very, very rotten about the West Coast people in California. And I have nothing else to say about them, except they are probably the most despicable people in the country for a blue state. The majority of them who are contagious enough have no care or concern. These are the Trump people. I mean, for the most part, we have a lot of people who are wearing masks, but it's just those fringe groups. And remember, we have some of the worst politicians here. We have Nunez. We also have McCarthy. They're the most disgusting ones. They kind of set the tone of their constituents. And I think that they go around infecting people. And until somebody either kicks the shit out of somebody or follows up with somebody who they were in proximity with, it's kind of like, it's almost now like somebody giving you HIV. It's kind of like you didn't take the necessary precautions. And I really think that gloves off. if you know people are sitting up here sick and getting other people sick. They squash everything that Newsom tries to do. They're all upset because he went to a rich dinner at the French Laundry. Let me tell you something. Rich people can afford the rapid test. It's $400. They can afford it. They can afford it. So get over your fake pearl clutching. Those rich people weren't sick. Why? Because they can afford it. And these other like haberdashery of just trash that just try to model themselves after the Trump train, that they would ever be anything he would even frequent with. It's astounding. It's astounding. This man he would think his spit is too good to go on these people. So we have a lockdown, but as far as I'm concerned, it all needs to be shut down. I don't know who thinks I'm going to go shopping with my money anywhere to any damn restaurant and anybody else. This is not like 9/11, go out and shop. Hell no. It's always so strange after every catastrophe here. People are like, they've been radicalized. I don't know if there's like some kind of hypnotism that goes on these Trump sites, but it needs to be investigated because personally, it just doesn't, I can't even tell you. And bored Orange County housewives who have nothing, barely a brain in their head, who talk about shoes and lunch and all that other bullshit. It's like this was their claim to fame, clout chasing online about not wearing a mask. They don't want to give that up. So no, it's not strict enough. And then police officers who don't enforce fines. I mean, we're doomed here, and we have no ICUs available in Southern California. Zero.
Aisha,
these people will take a Botox shot, but quibble about Botox, which has been associated with MS, ALS, and they have no problem. But they're going to quibble about a vaccine. I don't get it. Butt injections, they'll do it. They're up for it. But a vaccine? Give me a break.
Aisha, you now Connecticut. Are you still in lockdown? Because I remember for the longest period of time, you were telling me you guys were in lockdown. Are you still in lockdown?
We were in lockdown through like July, and then we did the phasing. We went to phase 3. Is that the highest one? I think it is the one where they did the full open, and then the cases started to surge, and then we went back down. So right now we're at phase 2, or it's like 1A or something like that. And like, for example, our restaurants are not open for people to sit in. You can get takeout, you can get drive-through, but you can't sit in. The stores are open, but we're still, because we've gone up so much, like our governor said, a lockdown is still a possibility. A lockdown is still something that he will consider if these numbers keep going up. So I think personally for me, I think we need to lock down the entire country, because we can't get a handle on this. People keep wanting to do what people want to do. I think this needs to come from the top when we change administrations, and I think Joe Biden backed himself in a corner by saying he will not lock down the country. I think he should have said, I'll listen to the experts, but we need to lock down the country, because when we have more than 3,000 people dying per day, which means more than 20,000 people per every 7 days. And every 4 days, we have 1 million diagnosable cases. We're beyond crisis mode. And there's nothing that we can do aside from shutting down the country. Because yes, we might have a vaccine, but obviously, like we just saw, and like I just said, the vaccine is not even being made available to the people who need it, and the rollout's not been successful in the first week, because we can't trust the administration that that's rolling out anything with regards to COVID to do the job and to do it properly. So shutting down the country is what's going to have to happen, because there's no other way that we can stop the spread. People are not listening to the wear a mask, social distancing guidelines. Think of it. Even though people know this is what's going on, 10 million people still say that they are going to travel over the Christmas holiday. 10 million people.
Yeah,
Okay.
10 million people did say they're going to travel over the Christmas holiday. That's true.
So
when you think of that, then it's going to be like very difficult for anyone to leave their homes if you really want to stay safe.
is the vaccine available in either your areas at all yet?
In mine, it is. I know we've had 300,000 so far, and there's going to be another 6 next week. And they've been giving it out to hospitals and in the homes with the elderly. It's so interesting. There's been a lot of debate about that, like who's getting it first. And there was a doctor I was listening to in Germany who was kind of pondered the idea of giving it to the young people first, since they tend to be the super spreaders. But we stopped that here. I think I mentioned it last week. So, it's that we do have it unless something happens, and because Newsom is sending out emails to everybody who signed up to his newsletter, and you'll see that that's coming here. But yeah, it's very, very bleak out here. And, there's a recall for him as well. They want to recall him. And I'm just at the point now, how long are we going to let stupid run the country? It's like, I really think that some of these offenses should be punishable by being thrown in jail. And I know that they don't want to deal with that because of COVID, but they might have to. The people seem to think they're immune to it anyway. So throw them in a whole fucking hole. I don't care. But we have a problem. Now we really need the ships here. The ship that we had earlier in the year, we need the military ship, but I doubt that Trump would even approve it. I think that now is the time that we need the stadiums to open. Up north, they have the stadium open, but Southern California is going to have a stadium open soon. There's no room. People are lined up in front of the hospitals. And I really wish the media would just film it more so that people can see people dropping dead while they're standing in line. I think they're doing a huge disservice. People don't care anyway, but maybe it'll make the people who need to. I also find the parents who want to send their kids back to school, I think after this, they should be reported to child services. What they obviously don't deserve to have their children. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I don't know. I personally, like I said, it's going to get ugly. At least if you confront me while I'm out in public, it will be ugly. And I will be on the news if somebody steps too close to me, because I'm not playing anymore. And I've given up all friends who even faintly, vaguely toy with the idea of not wearing a mask. I don't have any time for you and never will again.
Okay.
Yeah. We have, as of Monday, what the last report I heard was that we had 2,000 doses, and they administered those. That was it on Monday. That was it. That was it on Monday, that they had gotten 2,000 doses on Monday. I don't know what they've gotten since. But I saw them.
Trump is probably selling them off to Russia. Trump is probably selling them off.
Well, now that we got there, we do need to say this. They have their this is in the news now. You have the wealthy wanting to pay for the vaccine, pay like $25,000 a shot.
Yeah.
To get to the front of the line.
To get in the front of the line.
Will. Yeah. And a lot of people are very disheartened now because Mitch McConnell got his vaccine.
So did Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
Dust Bowl. I didn't know they go taxidermy pet.
Jill,
COVID shot.
behave yourself now, because I know you have so much love for Rupert.
No, I can't stand him. It's like, dude,
I mean, the Grim Reaper of the Senate got his
really?
shot. I can't
Yeah.
believe. I can't believe
hey,
he's out
Pence
there
got-
smiling about it.
Well, now what's interesting today is that VP Pence got his shot, and his comments were very interesting. They seem to be like total opposite from 45. Like, it sounded like, I don't know if it was for show, but he sounded pretty cool and saying, we're going to attack this, da 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 da. It sounded so like non 45-ish.
Ain't nobody care what Snow White has to say because it's like he's been asleep for 1,000 freaking years. And he's still playing games. Oh, wait. The running to the plane and running everywhere. It's like, please sit down.
He's been asleep for 1,000 years. He's that funk of 1,000 years that is mentioned.
He is playing games, because he's going out of the country after he has to do this little shindig on the 6th with the Senate and everything. So, he's not fooling anybody, and he's a disgusting creature too. And I hope they all go to hell.
So, Aisha, you were the person who brought this one to my attention. But how does the COVID immunity work, and what does it mean for vaccines?
Well, it's the herd immunity that they're talking about. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is not so much that we're talking about the vaccines, but it was the initial plan of the Trump administration. Their plan, and this came out because emails were surfaced, their plan was never to get immunity through immunizations. That was never the plan. Their plan was to let herd immunity take place, let people get this thing and let it spread through the country and let people just get sick. And so that enough people would get sick that once they got it, kind of like the chicken pox, let people keep getting the chicken pox and spreading it around. And then eventually, we'd eradicate chicken pox. But this disease, so new and so novel, that we don't know how it works.
Well, it comes back. People have had it 3 times. Some people have had it 3 times. Within 8 months, we've gotten it 2 and 3 times.
Right. And essentially, our government was willing to let us die. They were willing to let a certain amount of people die. Like, you're talking about 10% of the population. That's 30 million people willing to let that many people die in order to get immunity, rather than trying to solve the problem.
Well, I don't know if a lot of people saw the other day, the King of Sweden actually was in the Guardian on a video, and he spoke about how Sweden failed miserably with their herd immunity and how people were still dying in droves and that it didn't work. And he was really very saddened by it. And I think that for all these wannabe Swedes that we have in the Senate and always citing things in the Netherlands and different regions, I think he just tore them a new one the other day because it really it didn't work because of the type of virus this is. And it's the immunity factor. I mean, even with the shot, they don't really know how long immunity is going to last. That's why the key people who were in the studies must be followed, and you have to watch. I mean, but Trump and them had no problem with. It was quoted that Ajax, what's his name, Avarax, or what was his name, Azar?
Yes,
something like that.
He said, it didn't matter if it was infants, women, children. It didn't matter. Men, women, they wanted everybody to get it. And for me, this is like a horror movie. This is why I keep saying, after what has gone on, for America to ever have a standing again and ever try to police any other nation, the fact that they're squabbling over finances and all of it, it'll never happen again. It'll never, not for many generations. People are literally calling us from Europe and different places like, are you guys okay? It's like watching a disaster show. It's not even, it's my friends in France, Germany, England. People are looking in horror. It's like watching this country in a blaze, and it's done. It's done. And yes, they have hope for Joe, but they don't as long as the Republican Party is still standing. They must all be arrested, investigated, and thrown in the gulag
Yeah.
forever.
And there is hope because I
No
forgot
more
who mentioned it.
investigations. I think we've had enough investigations. It doesn't take a brain trust to figure out what the hell they've done. I mean, other than that, citizens arrest. Go arrest them, people. Arrest them.
No, I think that when you get to people like my girl Tish in New York State, I think that when she starts pulling at some of those things, she's going to start pulling some of that stuff into it. I think that what you're going to see is people start suing Donald Trump and people like that personally, because they will be citizens. People need to start suing them personally. They might not get criminal court. I don't think that they'll be able to get
a television show, guys. He's negotiating a TV show at the moment. He's trying to bring back The Apprentice.
I want to ask.
Said, can't do it from jail.
So let's forecast a little bit between now and when Biden allegedly is going to get sworn in, because it hasn't happened yet. How much of a dent is America going to make in pushing back against COVID? Because it from what you two are sharing, a lot ain't being done. And it seems like but Biden is being honest, saying, you know what, it's not going to be a fun winter. He's already put it out there. But how bad is it going to get?
Worse. They predict about 600,000 people, close to 800 will be dead by the time he's sworn in. No. When Penn was on a television show, they already projected 300,000. But at the rate of multiplying, if you have 10 million people traveling for Christmas, it's going to be close to 1 million people will be dead.
And that's what, and that's
you've got to project
why. That's crazy. That's
6,
crazy.
7, because people don't care.
And that's the main reason why. And the sad part of it,
people have bad spirits. They have bad spirits. The spirit of every demon in the world or every bad thing that ever existed has consumed these people. They have bad spirits that walk with them, literally. I'm telling you all, if God will only give us a sign about how messed up they are, please, because they really are of like no other. There's no conversion. There's no saving them. And they should all be thrown into the lake of fire. Every last one of them.
Aisha?
Well, I think the sad part about it is that these 10 million people are going to travel and they're going to give it to people who don't necessarily deserve it. People who weren't traveling, people who weren't in their space, people who weren't, someone who was probably at the doctor's office with them. They're going to give it to people who did the right things.
Well, I've kept my contact tracing app on. That's another thing. Their rights here. Oh, the contact tracing. I mean, the NSA had already been listening to you and you didn't even know it. And now I can't let people know where I am. We know where you are with your phone. But I turn mine on. It alerts me if I come into zone with anybody who is honest and, I guess, reporting this stuff. But I do believe that it will come out even more. I think they can narrow stuff down even more so. As it is, there's already a product, something that MIT discovered that through AI, it can determine if you have COVID just from the cough. So that's quite astounding. And when that comes out, it's going to be a new game in town, because already people are moaning that they won't be able to travel once it's mandated. It's going to be a soft mandate. It'll just be like, if you want to fly anywhere, you're going to have this shot. If you want to go and work a job, you're going to have the shot. So screw you and that's not even going to be negotiable. But I want to know how many people
If
are
you
going
want to go to school.
Yeah, people are going to be like, I have a right to work here. No, it'll just be like, you won't get hired.
Well, you know what? That'll happen in right to work states. They will probably not do that. But in states that have like unions and things, and other states that are not right to work states, they will be able to do that. You know, schools will be able to
as a person there. No, I think
exactly.
this will be a little different. I think this will, it is going to change the face of right to work states. It really will, because you can't have that. You can't allow that. Look at this utter devastation that our people have.
But those states won't even put a mask mandate in place. So what makes you think that they'll put this in place?
I think things are going to change. We want to prosecute or get rid of the 126 who tried to help with the coup. And I think that, it needs to be done. They shouldn't be sworn in. They probably will be, but we don't want this anymore. And if the Democratic Party does not see that we want punishment, then that Democratic Party is going to go more progressive with younger people, because I'll be damned if I ever vote for another old political politician. Never. No more.
Before we jump on to another conversation topic, because coronavirus is going to be around for a while, like it or not, what would it say about America? And I think Jill, you said, or Aisha, one of you said about they're forecasting 600,000 people going to die because of this. What does that say about America if 600,000 people die because of this?
That there are disgusting people in this country, with immoral people, who don't care about anybody, who are consumerists, who are elitist, who are selfish, who all that hoopla about the girl next door of America and that American apple pie stuff. It doesn't exist anymore. It's totally dead. Killed it. Gone.
I mean, it
ruthless,
just tells
people. Ruthless.
Yeah,
and sick.
It rips the Band-Aid off. It just exposes who we are to the world.
Illiterate, immoral. No.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It
makes me believe that every crime that's ever gone on, that it's just the way the people are. That's just how Americans are. I almost wouldn't even want an American in my family at this point, and I'm American.
But on the other side of it, it's this. Every other country has thought that America was corrupt. Now Americans are going to have to start believing it.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's move on. A related story to it. In America, both Republicans and Democrats want that's a people, like they're supporters of both parties, want Congress to approve a new coronavirus stimulus package. It still hasn't been approved.
And it won't be approved. And Trump people shouldn't get it. Sorry. They don't deserve it. They supported him. They believed him. Where is he? Why aren't you protesting? I don't believe they should get it. Screw them.
Why not?
Starve. You made us suffer for 4 years. I don't care. I don't really care about them. I don't think they should have the shots until the very last. And I don't think they should get a stimulus, because they were all selling wolf tickets, jumping on me online and everybody else. They wanted to jump so bad. Sit back and be bad without any money while you're broke and you want to walk around with no mask and get the stimulus. Screw off. Screw off. Just identify who you are so I won't shop at your store.
Well,
does it blow your mind that this has been going on for so long?
No, it doesn't, because it's like it was expected. It was expected. I didn't expect them to come up with a stimulus package, one that Trump was going to sign, a compromise. Exactly. I was surprised that they came up with the first one.
I know.
It's like, first of all, let's be very clear. Trump is not going to sign anything. He didn't get elected. He's not signing anything. what we need is that we need the Georgia election won, period. Once that's won, then you'll see a stimulus pass. And you'll see one pass with people getting regular stimulus checks. And
Joe
if they
Biden said
don't
he
do
signed
it,
on day one.
yep, he said he's ready to sign. And if they go, but here's the thing. We're going to need the people who are progressives to be much more progressive and really push. I was astounded that they fell back on this $600 and didn't push. And then came back and tried to explain it. I was like, Ilhan Omar tried to explain, well, $600 to some people will be like end up being $2,400 to some families. No, that's not. No, that don't try to explain it. Explain why you didn't push for more.
And for all those evangelicals,
it's
it's a lot of money. For all those evangelicals who pump out babies like, nobody's business because they don't believe in anything but just, having babies. But that would be, they can add it up and take the money from your kids. What kind of people are you? I mean, I'm sorry, living off your kids?
Yeah. The part that bothers me more than anything is that you have people who are so far behind in their rent, $600 won't even help.
We're not dealing with the. That's the part I don't get. $600 ain't nothing.
It's
one time,
and you
one
can't,
time,
and you can't have both. So it's either take the stimulus or the unemployment. And that's what AOC, Alexandra Cortez, put out today, what they were saying. They won't give both. So, she was pushing back because I like her on the sense that she actually worked here. She was single. She didn't have a boyfriend or a husband like Ilhan and the rest of them to take care of them. She knows what it costs. And $600 is nothing in a city on the East Coast or the coastal cities of America. Out of it, it's barely anything even in Ohio or in those middle states. It ain't nothing. What about your health care? What about your insurance? So you know what? They're going to make people suffer. That's what this is. I think it's tied into something that they're planning to do, that Trump is planning to do with Russia, but that's another thing. Because I don't know why else would the Republicans want to have such a weak, defeated people who are sick, can't fight, can't do anything, or they're hungry. I mean, if you ask me, something's brewing. And it would be a fine time to come in and invade this country with people because people just wouldn't have the energy to defend or protect themselves either.
Yeah. And the other side of it too is that all of a sudden they done got very, very concerned about the deficit. They've gotten very concerned about the deficit now that their power's on its way out. It's like, wait a second. You weren't worried about the deficit when you blew it up, $230 trillion for those quote unquote tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy.
Every
now
single
all of
one
a
of
sudden,
them.
right now, all of a sudden, $600 to regular people is blowing up the deficit. What?
Every single senator and congressman who supported Trump should be investigated, all their finances, everything, just on GP. I mean, and that even includes Mitt Romney. I don't care. It's because there's something wrong with that party. And I think that the party needs to be taken out.
Okay, hold on.
It's a criminal organization.
So let me ask, is there something wrong with that party or is there something wrong with the 45 party? Because I think
it's the party. The fact that
Republican Party has been like this all along when it comes to the budget and budgetary issues. They've always been the same with tax the poor, reward the rich. They've always been that way.
So just here, Black Beauty is saying for our friends watching in other countries like myself, I'm in Canada, America has two faces, Democratic / Republican. And other comment, those of us who are Democratic generally are more empathetic and more human, putting others first.
It's true. That's actually true.
Yeah.
That's the mission of the party. That is the mission. And if you ever talk to a Republican, they'll be like, we're traditional values. I'm like, dude, traditional? Okay. I saw a woman out there making bread the other day on some TV show and putting it underneath a stone and rock in her place. I ain't that traditional. And none of them are either. They are fiscally concerned. That's it. And they have never lowered the deficit anytime they've ever been in office. These are Republicans notoriously raise our deficit every time they're in. And they've not one, maybe one that actually brought it down. Not one. That's their MO. But they've always spoke with forked tongues. And to be honest with you, the Campaign Finance Reform Act and all these things about the PACs and everything, that needs to be changed. That needs to be done. We need to know more, have more transparency on who's funding this stuff. Straight up.
Aisha, anything you want to add? Okay, Aisha, can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear.
Yeah, I don't think she can hear us. Okay, no problem. I think she's, for some reason, having some technical difficulties with Aisha, but that's no problem. But
Right.
So, Jill, you don't think it's going to happen even by the time Biden gets in?
She said that her headphones died.
Okay, no problem. But I just think so. But you do not think even by the time Biden gets in, we won't see anything?
We're going to see all of his new appointments and all of that. I think if we win Georgia, because Georgia has to save our lives. I mean, shoot, if Ray Charles were here, I'd be singing with him, because it really is like, this is critical. It's the only way things will get done. Any of our bills, any of our plans going forward. We seriously need to get that together. We just have to. But I don't, as far as him, he said it would be up to the DOJ for double checking all of the crimes. That's the DOJ's job. And I imagine they're going to be quite busy.
Where are they just doing the one-time payment for $600? That does not make any sense to me.
And you know where they got the money from? It was from the unemployment. And don't forget, there's still like 700 million that never got spent from the first CARES Act.
What?
It was 300 million, and then they found another surplus. Yeah, that's what Mnuchin and the other guy were being quizzed on by Porter a few weeks back. So they haven't even touched that. I mean, California, we have about $40 million in reserve, and before the end of the year, they have to decide what they're going to do with it. So hopefully California will decide to give money to its people, or I don't know what they're going to do with it. But no, not all of the monies were dispersed. You would have thought we would have had a UBI, universal basic income, just to keep people going forward, but we haven't. And it's really, it's criminal. I just don't even know what to say. I think that the fact that our country is in this position is just heinous. Talk about losing face, as the Japanese would say. America has lost all face with other nations. And I know Joe is going to try, but that's a tall ask, because to have trust, to wonder where our intel, who's in what. I mean, I honestly feel like they're going to have to clean all departments, many, many agencies, because at this point you won't really know who Trump has put in and who he's going to pay off and who Putin and those guys are going to use just to be spies for them. So unfortunately, I think a lot of people should be fired from the state job, from the government jobs. I don't care how long they've been there. Even the people living in the White Houses. It's unfortunate.
Wow, Jill, you're not sounding too optimistic.
Well, I mean, if I had felt like somebody was like, breaking into my stuff and I couldn't determine who it was, what would you do? I'd have no choice but to get rid of everybody.
Mm.
Or I don't know, implant them with a chip just so I know what the hell they're doing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you would do. I would have mad serious trust issues.
Well, I think we've got Aisha back. Are you with us, Aisha?
Yep, I lost my internet connection on my laptop.
Oh, but you are back with us. Well, any final words you have to, like I was asking while we lost you for a bit, do you think the package will get passed? I think two-part question: before they go away on their holidays, or before Mr. Biden gets sworn in? Either or?
Neither.
No.
Neither.
Neither.
Not at all.
Really?
They might give somebody, you know what? They might throw out about $200 or something, but that, if they give anything of $600, I don't consider that money. I don't consider that money at all.
Wow.
I don't think they'll do
money.
any of it.
That's not money.
Anything
That's one
that
of
they
their
have to
dinners
ask.
that Pompeo used to have with his wife was holding these salons, with diplomats and whatever. And they've now since been looking through her records, and they never had anybody hardly show up, to the point where they had a 900 invitation party and only 70 people showed up. It wasn't because of COVID. Let me tell you something. Nobody likes them. Nobody liked them. They weren't showing up because nobody liked them. If they didn't come to their salons with Dom Perignon and all this other stuff and all this caviar and everything for their dinners, where they were all going to be super intellectual, bitches didn't show up. That's through the whole 4 years, and his wife just decided to fly all over. The wife just flew around on the planes and then billed it back to the American taxpayer. Oh, it's so much. I mean, it's so much. And whoever decides to write a book, and if it's any of those scoundrels coming from the White House, I'm going to download their stuff for free online. I'm never going to buy one thing. I may read it, but I ain't paying for it.
Any last words on this one, Aisha?
I just say anything that requires Trump to do any work in these last few days, it's not going to happen.
Okay. All right.
He's abandoned the job.
Okay.
Didn't they have to give him some lithium just to calm him down? Freaking zombie bitch.
Wow. I'm telling you, Jill, I cannot wait till inauguration day to see what you're going to be doing.
Wait, they're so stupid. They've been talking about they're going to crash the inaugural thing. Crash what? Ain't nobody trying to have no party up in here like y'all did. Really? Oh, check yourself. The thing is, ain't nobody checking for Trump, but he has to keep doing stuff,
Okay, well, let's move it on here to more comments. Black Beauty says, we are a country without a leader right now. 45 could care less.
It's true.
And Real Django is just giving his high applause as per usual to the ladies. Let's move on to our next. I think he's really giving it for Jill tonight, but I'm going to go there.
Were sandwiches, like, like that's how I feel too.
Okay. Next up, a story that isn't getting a lot of play, but should be getting some more. America's scrambling to understand the fallout of suspected Russia hack. Apparently, Russia. Jill's got her hand in her head.
Awesome. Deep.
And what I find crazy about this has been going on for a few months. Your government, your president saying nothing about it.
No, nothing.
Because he let them in. He let them in.
All they had to say was polonium. All they had to say was polonium, and it ain't a girlfriend. It ain't a girl I'm trying to introduce you to.
What does this mean? Like I was sharing with some people the other day. And I'm like, I'm laughing. Sorry, I've got tears in my eyes right now. Jill, you're making me cry tonight. That there's like when I was growing up, we had the history of the Roman Empire, the history of the British Empire. I feel that the American Empire is crumbling right in front of our eyes.
Crumbling? It already crumbled. We're going to have to rebuild.
Sorry.
We are rebuilding it. This is the thing. I don't think we keep using it in this sense. It's crumbled. We are now sitting around looking at the wreckage and going, how are we going to rebuild this thing? Because he sold off our planes for the open skies thing. All of these things within the time of like the election. I keep saying it concerns me because he ain't done. But what's frightening to me is that we don't have any measures in place. It's like, at least in England, they got the Queen. And I mean, if things just got miserable and she's not supposed to get involved, but believe me, she'd get involved if this was about to come down. She has her own army, but her own protectors. But this, he's just running free willy ramshot.
But how does this happen? This like infiltration of the U.S. government. For some reason, it didn't happen during the election, but maybe it did. I don't know. But this story just blows my mind. Like, it's been going on for months. Go ahead, Aisha. I know you got something to say.
Because Russia has its foothold in one political party.
Oh.
That's how it happened.
And they've had information on all of them for a long time.
And they've had it for a long time.
Okay, Aisha, go deeper now. You ain't gonna. Yes,
they've had it for a long time. They don't call Moscow Mitch for no reason. They don't call Lindsey Graham Leningrad Lindsey for no reason. Okay. They've had their foothold in this party for a long time. They helped win the election of the man who is going to be known as the worst president in our history. They probably tried to help him this election, which should be the fact that 8 months ago, this got they got into all of our stuff should really be ringing bells. And the fact that Trump is saying nothing. I said here about a month ago that, remember when I said that Trump tried to win? He plotted to win. There was a plot for him to win. He just can't figure out how he lost when there was a plan for him to win.
You did say that. I remember you saying that.
Right. I'm sure he had plans with Russia to win. This is why he's not saying anything.
This is why
I just
Pearl Harbor.
Nothing surprised me, but I'm just going, wow, he's not saying nothing about it. Nothing.
No.
And this is being called the Cyber Pearl Harbor. That this is the equivalent of 1,000 planes going over your home.
Exactly. And think about this, because what did Trump want more than anything? He wanted to stay out of jail. And he needed this election to do it. He would have given anything to stay out of jail and to win this election, including governmental secrets. We all knew that he was compromised. We all knew he was compromised. That is what the Mueller report said. And our country, because his party was in control, dropped the ball and turned and looked the other way from when the Mueller report said that he was compromised. And why? Because all those people were compromised too.
It's crazy. Like, at least 6 government departments breached in likely Russian intelligence operation thought to have begun in March. This is in March.
And not just the agencies, but some of our corporations. Microsoft listed 28 of their different branches or different things. It's not just that. It's like they've gone everywhere. And this is just what, the third or fourth day they've been talking about it. But
Yeah, I'm reading the story
And
here.
make no mistake, there's no coincidence as to why he dropped the ball on the COVID stuff in March when this happened in March.
So let
His
me
focus
just
was elsewhere.
I'm just reading some of the story from The Guardian. Tech giant Microsoft, which helped respond to the breach, said it has identified more than 40 government agencies, think tanks, non-governmental organizations, and IT companies infiltrated by the hackers. 4 in 5 were in the US, nearly half of them tech companies, with victims also in Canada, Mexico, Belgium, Spain, the UK, Israel, and the United Arab Emirates. Microsoft said in a blog post, quote, "This is not espionage as usual. Even in the digital age, instead it represents an act of recklessness that create a serious technological vulnerability for the United States in the world," unquote. But, and I'll just one more paragraph here, but 45, long reluctant to criticize his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, has been conspicuously silent, focused instead on overturning an election that he lost. The U.S. president is undergoing pressure to speak about what some describe as an epic national security crisis.
And it's really interesting because a comedian the other day was making a joke about Putin being at his winter house, something odd, where he conducts business in both locations, like sort of, very strange. It's just, the rumors about him being sick, all of those things are just, it's part of the shell game, because there's also rumors that Putin bought Trump a house in Cuba. And that if going down to Florida, you're really only a boat ride away from Cuba. It's not that far. And I could see him living in a place like Cuba before I could see him living.
Well, apparently they don't want him. His neighbors in Mar-a-Lago don't want him.
But they've never tried that law. He could very well. There's something about that law years ago that he had agreed to you can live beyond 1 week. But he would, with the way he is, he would push it. He would, if he could. The problem is that Trump has to find a new place to live, and it can't be on American
Why won't he
soil.
go back to New York?
And that could have been why he broke up the whole
jail.
That's why he may have. If the long game was always this, it could be why he screwed up our agreement with Cuba, with how we were opening up everything like that. The plan may have always been to do this and go to different countries, because there is no real extradition treaty with Cuba that I know of.
I know that Aisha is just waiting for the 21st of January because she has her girlfriend and she's just waiting. And once I hear that news, if it comes down, the first person I'm reaching out to is Aisha K. Staggers.
Right.
And I know when I'm calling her, I know what she's going to say. Did not tell you? Did not tell you, Tish? Did not tell you?
The problem is he's not going to be around to be served. And that may very well be the case, or getting near him, or that's kind of what's going to happen. He's not going to be around during the inauguration, and who knows? I mean, it was also believed that when Russia was doing a missile launch a few months back, and this missile launch went 4,000 kilometers, which was quite a lot. And so it's kind of an uneasy situation at the moment, because he's so desperate, he'll do anything. And now he's mad. And there's a big difference. He's just mad, and he wants people to suffer.
Yeah.
He knows his base. This is an interesting thing. He knows his base. He could do anything. So he doesn't have to give them money. They'll be like, okay, well, he must really know why we shouldn't have any money. They're okay. They're that stupid. They're that illiterate and gullible. It's the other ones that really need the money.
Well, speaking about his base, and this is their last conversation topic, one of the members of his base is leaving, William Barr.
Good riddance to bad rubbish.
Sure.
So let's do a reflection on the man who's the head of the department, was or still is, and soon to be ex-head of the DOJ, Department of Justice. Let's do a reflection. What are your thoughts on Chief Justice Barr?
He's the worst attorney general. I mean, that's been attorney general how many different times? He's always compromised himself. And this time it's just, I guess he's trying to, well, he's not leaving on his own accord. He's being forced out because he didn't say the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget just yesterday, I think, you know, they were definitely at odds. Because he defended the CIA yesterday, saying that no, they were not spying on Trump through his campaign, because his team tried to throw that out too, different senators, that the CIA was spying on him. The problem is that we hear it, and there's so much media to cover. All Trump's base tries to do is drown out the noise when somebody comes back with a rebuttal, and then they create something else to go after, and then you don't hear it. But he and Barr clearly did not part on great terms. It would have been better if he gave his resignation letter, like, you know, this guy's crazy. But he won't, because they're all compromised and they're all pretty complicit, and they're all going to be looking for deals.
Yeah. And I think the reason that Barr, I think that might be the reason that this last little thing that he did before he left was to open this investigation into Hunter Biden's
taxes.
Well, they started that, I guess, apparently a while ago, but
yes, but he didn't bring it out during the election. Like, from what I heard,
exactly.
45
he didn't bring it out
not
during the
happy
election,
about that. He's
but,
not
but
happy
he's bringing
about
it
that.
out now. But he's bringing it out now, I think, to score a deal for himself.
But the thing is, he's not. I don't know if it's legally he was not supposed to, or not allowed, or by law not supposed to do that during the election. So again,
but the thing is that it wouldn't have mattered. Hunter Biden wasn't running for president. That's what's stupid about it.
Well, this is another interesting thing going on in the world that we're losing track with. There's some real shifts happening. I mean, we have China building an airport right beside Papua New Guinea, right? And then there's Australia. So there's some serious geopolitical moves happening.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, the Trump thing where Pence is supposed to be going out of the country to the Middle East. Now, I'm like, when is that a vacation? I mean, granted, there are places to go, but this is not what's occurring. It's very, very bizarre. And I just don't think that the Chinese are as spooky as they're just playing a business game. And I don't blame them. But Russia has a vendetta. And the goal, we know, has been to destroy democracy. And we must, as a country, these people, you know, look what they did to William Wallace in Scotland. I mean, we have to have punishment for this. There's no other way to say it for traitors. We haven't done it, I mean, in ages, but there have been people who've been traitorous, and we really do have to enforce it. Otherwise, the Constitution is no better than that box of Charmin that I got sitting in the cupboard. And then it's useless, because that's what the rest of the world thinks, that our Constitution is bullshit and it means absolutely nothing. And it really makes it very difficult for leaders like in New Zealand, or these kind of young, new people coming up in the game who will be running things later on in the world. It really creates a very different environment with the leaders coming forth and what they're going to want to do with us. Because if Joe actually thinks he can go back in and play that hand that Obama was playing, it ain't going to work like that anymore.
It's a totally different world.
Totally different world.
Totally different. It's totally different even when from the time 45 came in office.
Yeah. It's like having somebody who you go to their house and their kids are running all over the place and snot nose and ashy legs and fighting and scrambling, and the house is dirty, and then you have them somewhere and they start giving you advice. You're like, I know you're not trying to tell me how to run my country. We're at that level. Trump did his job, but he he's working for Putin, and he always has been, and there's more, there's more, there's more, there's more, and it's going to come out.
Aisha, anything
And
you
that's
want to
what
add?
he's worried about. I think that's what he's worried about more than anything too, is what's going to tumble out when the Biden administration comes through. And I think that's what some of the Republicans are worried about. When they start talking about picks that they're like, oh, we don't like this pick. Do you not like the pick think the pick's not qualified, or are you scared the stuff that's going to come out that you've been complicit in? Because I'm telling you, and I said this before on one of our previous shows, the Neera Tanden thing was just bizarre. And I realized that there's stuff that she's going to find that they don't want her to find.
She's hawkish.
She is hawkish, and she does everything by the book, and she's gonna look at the spending and the budget line by line.
And you need
she's gonna ask
people on that. You really do.
Yeah.
Almost somebody who has a capability of like forensic accounting or forensic audits on any level. She's that girl.
She's gonna do that kind of oversight, and she's gonna ask the questions that haven't been asked. That people just have been overlooking, and that scares them. All these other people that he's got going in, they're really worried about his AG pick.
And it's true, but I also have to say something really interesting. It's kind of like some people have complained about some of his picks, but I also think it's kind of like putting a band together, and sometimes you aren't always picking newer people. Sometimes you're taking a chance, but it has to be, your team has to be connected in a thread, kind of where they all have relationships that are built in. It's really hard to break everybody in and get the band to jam, but this band he's putting together, they're going to come in jamming because they know how each other plays. And that's what this is about. I understand the progressives wanting a little bit more, but they'll get more. They will be able to flex their muscles a little bit. But this is a serious jam band, a band that has to come in and slay from day one. And
the goal is that they're not going to all be through the whole term. Some of them are going to be there for just 2 years.
They're just setting it up
because their job is to come in and fix things and move on and open the space.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. So that's all just my one thing I want to say. I think it's amazing that he put in Michael Reagan for the environmental official for the EPA from North Carolina, and Deb Haaland, the Interior Secretary, our Native American female. For me, it made me so tearful. We've never had that. She's, that's important. But I think these people that he's put in, some have they have a moral, like there's something they're connected to, a passion. Michael Reagan is passionate about his activism. Deb, all these people have a passion, and I love that. But I'll tell you one damn thing before we get off of here. If Russia thinks that we're not going to get back at them for what they did, they got another thing coming. I keep saying Joe's a Scorpio, and Scorpios don't play. They just don't tell you all their mess out there from the get-go. This will be crazy. This is not over. Okay. It ain't yet.
All right. Well, ladies, another epic conversation as usual. You're dropping knowledge bombs all over the place. And like to say, as always, thank you for taking time out of your positive, productive schedules to hang out with us. And, you guys aren't doing anything else these days, so why not come on and hang out with what's going on. But first things first, if people want to get in contact with a lady named Jill Jones, how can they do that?
On Twitter, I'm at Jill D. Jones, Twitter, and then Instagram, Jill Jones Music, and on my Facebook is Jill Jones Music as well.
Excellent. Aisha K. Staggers.
On Twitter, at Aisha, capital AISHA, Staggers, capital STAGGERS.
Excellent. And I'm just going to bring everybody back on the screen. We would like to wish everybody a happy holiday season.
Yes.
Yes, and we want to make sure you have a good one. It's been a very challenging year, but fear not. We're going to be on during the holiday season. Don't
Yeah.
worry, don't fret. We will bring
Sure.
we'll bring you good gifts from
Yeah.
Jill Claus, Aisha Claus, and Vibe Claus. We'll be bringing good gifts, but we want to wish you all a happy holiday season.
Merry Christmas.
And if you celebrate Christmas, whatever you celebrate, I think the most important thing this year is
Christmas.
Hanukkah. Give yourselves grace, people. Give yourselves grace during this time. I feel we got some more comments. Let me just check it out here. As I agree, Rio Ranchos. Sure, 45 and pence are dipping out early.
They are dipping. That's for
That
sure.
beauty. There you go. All right. Well, like to say as always, thanks everybody here. I am Dr. Vibe. I am the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. The best place to get a hold of me is if you're watching live on the replay. I'm going to also say it if you're listening on the replay, the drvibeshow.com. You can catch me on Twitter at just drvibeshow. Catch me on Facebook, the Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, the Dr. Vibe Show, email address dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And that's it for now. As always, I'd like to thank everyone who helped make it an epic conversation tonight. We had Real Django, we had Black Beauty, we had some others. If I didn't mention you, it's because of my head, not my heart. Just want to end off, as always here. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Make sure you follow all of us via social media so you can keep a track on when we're going to be on during the holidays. I have a feeling we'll be on at least once, if not twice, and we have to do an end of the year show. So, you don't want to miss what the ladies are going to be dropping for their end of the year show. So God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, walk good, and remember to give yourself grace.